Hey, Newsa-Cast, we're looking forward to this throwback. Unfortunately, we are doing this one because we just had all-time great third baseman from the Baltimore Orioles. Brooks Robinson just passed away.
Yeah, it was a shame, Tosh. Brooks was at the Red Smith Banquet in 2003. We had a heck of a lineup that year. Vern Lundquist, the smooth voice of Vern Lundquist, and Leroy Butler, number 36 for the Green Bay Packers. But Brooks Robinson, an Hall of Fame third baseman, just by all accounts, one of the greatest guys ever. And just Tosh, there was no better. When you think of third basemen, at least for me, I think Brooks Robinson and Mike Schmidt. Those are my two third basemen.
Yeah, and he was he's beloved by Orioles fans. Probably one of the favorite players that, his name comes up, but he was just, I sat there and talked with him and just an all around nice guy.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Lots of character, he was awesome. Just fantastic to talk with. Stories. He had what a career. Truly one of the best third basemen to ever play the game.
Tosh, he was such a nice guy that we gave him an award called the Nice Guy Award. He was that nice.
He was that nice. That was a truly fitting award for him. To sit there and talk to a nobody from, as your dad said, Applesauce, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
but talk to him like he knew you, for years. It was just unbelievable experience.
There's nothing like a classic old baseball guy. I don't know what it is, but they can tell the best stories in the world, and they are just genuinely the nicest people. And I was thinking, Tash, you talked about Brooks playing for the Orioles, and low key, that I think that's my favorite. Other than the ball and glove, I think the Oriole cap and that Oriole logo might be my second favorite logo in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's classic for sure. So yeah,
good old Earl Weaver, Tash. If you ever want, Brooks Robinson certainly played for Earl Weaver, and
yeah,
boy, if you ever want entertainment, right? Hit YouTube and Earl Weaver.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're on YouTube. You're going to be watching Brooks Robinson after you're done. Type in Earl Weaver rants, and you will see some classic manager going after the umpires, and you'll be crying. You'll be laughing so hard.
Oh, absolutely. And the umpire is just as good as Earl, because that umpire's only job that night, Josh, was to, we'll let the video speak.
Stick it to Earl and the Orioles. Yeah, absolutely. We think you're going to love this one. It's obviously with a heavy heart that Brooks Robinson passed away, but you can relive Brooks through this throwback.
Absolutely. 2003, the Red Smith Banquet at the Radisson Paper Valley Hotel that evening.
Please welcome Dennis Basie to present the Nice Guy Award. Dennis.
Thank you, Chuck. An elderly couple recently had dinner at another couple's house, and after eating, the women went into the kitchen, and the two men sat down in the living room. And as the men were talking, one started telling the other about a great restaurant that he and his wife had been to the night before. And he went on and on about the great food, the wonderful service, the inexpensive drinks. What was the name of the restaurant? Joe asked. Sam thought for a while and said, gee, I don't remember. He says, what's the name of that flower? The one you give to someone you love? The one that's red and has thorns? A rose, replied Joe. He said, yeah, that's it. Turning toward the kitchen, he yelled out, hey, Rose, what was the name of that restaurant we had dinner in last night? Well, no one will ever forget the deeds and accomplishments of tonight's Nice Guy Award recipient. Brooks Calvert Robinson, Jr. wasn't named Hoover for his resemblance to Herbert or J. Edgar, but rather for his ability to suck up everything hit towards third base. He won Gold Gloves every year from 1960 to 1975. Led American League third baseman 11 times in fielding and 8 times each in putouts and assists, and made more putouts, assists, chances, and double plays than any third baseman in history. He also spent a record 23 years with one team, the Baltimore Orioles. And I found out tonight that every year was a one-year contract. Sports writer Gordon Beard said, quote, "He never asked anyone to name a candy bar after him. In Baltimore, people name their children after him." Robinson made his debut as an Oriole in 1955 and collected 2,848 hits in the regular season. He won the MVP award in 1964, hitting .317 with 28 homers, and shone in postseason play. In 39 playoff and World Series games, he hit 5 homers and went 44 for 145, a .303 average. He hit an even .500 in the 1969 playoffs and .583 in 1970s as the O's crushed the Twins. The 1970 World Series was the Brooks-Robinson show. In the opener, he backhanded Lee May's bullet to keep the go-ahead run off base in the 6th inning, and with the score tied 3-3 in the 7th, homered over the left field fence to give the Birds a 4-3 win. In Game 2, he knocked in the game winner in a 6-5 squeaker. But all of that was prologue to Game 3, when Robinson did for fielding what Pamela Anderson did for swimsuits. He made sparkling plays on Tony Perez's shot down the line in the 1st, Tommy Helm's slow roller in the 2nd, Johnny Bench's line drive in the 6th. He went 4 for 4 in Game 4 and was named MVP when the Orioles won Game 5 and the series. The ultimate accolade came from Johnny Bench, quote, "I will become a left-handed hitter to keep the ball away from that guy," end quote. When he retired in 1977, the Orioles gave credit where credit was due by holding Thanks Brooks Day on September 18th. The occasion drew the largest regular season crowd in Memorial Stadium's history. Brooks won a record 16 straight Gold Gloves from 1960 through 1974 as the best third baseman in the American League. He was the American League Most Valuable Player in 1964, finished second in the voting in 1966, and third in both 1960 and 1965. He was selected as the most valuable player in the 1966 All-Star Game at the 1970 World Series. He was chosen as the most valuable Oriole in 1960, 1962, 1964, and 1971. He and Frank Robinson were the first players elected to the new Orioles Hall of Fame in 1977. He was the 1972 winner of what is now known as the Roberto Clemente Award, honoring the player who best exemplifies the game of baseball both on and off the field. In 1971, he was awarded the Hickok Belt, emblematic of his selection as the National Outstanding Athlete of the Year. And in 1972, he was picked Man of the Decade by the Baltimore Advertising Club. Brooks is one of only a few men in the history of the major leagues to have been elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and one of only 16 to have been so honored on the first ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor to present the Miller Nice Guy Award to Brooks Robinson. There you go, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here in Appleton tonight to say hello to all of you, and it's a wonderful feeling to be recognized as a nice guy. And as I look around this table here tonight, there's a lot of great guys, and this is one of the nice things about coming to a banquet like this, because I get to meet a lot of people that I used to watch on TV. And Eric here tonight, congratulations, Eric, on your Rookie of the Year. I've followed your career this year, and I'm very happy for you. And it's nice to see Vern again. Been a while. Leroy, I followed your career, pal. Enjoyed that. And Pat, I want you to tell, I've followed Brooks's career also. And I was just a little kid when Pat played, you know, and he was one of my... He was one of my heroes when he was catching passes there. But I just want to thank Miller Beer for this award, because I'm very excited about it. You know, I never wanted to do anything in my whole life except put on a baseball uniform and play. I tagged along after my dad as a youngster. He was a pretty good semi-pro player back in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was a bat boy on a lot of his teams. We went to the same high school. We played on the same American Legion team. And that was my dream. I remember when I was in the 8th grade, I wrote a booklet on my vocation, or what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I wrote it on being a professional baseball player. And when your dream comes true, that's pretty awesome, I'll tell you. My mom and dad would probably be more proud of this award right here than anything that I accomplished in my baseball career. And I think that the things that they taught me, I learned at an early age that in baseball, everyone has a job to do, whether it be your teammates, the reporters, your fans, and you give them all the respect. And I can only tell you that it's coming back tenfold to me. And I just thank all the people that I ran into through my career would think of me as a nice guy, and I do appreciate that award. As I look around this crowd out here tonight, I tell you, it's my kind of crowd. The older, the better. Now, I don't mean that in any derogatory way, but I can only tell you, whoever said that fame was fleeting, I know exactly what they mean, because it's brought home to me every day I walk this earth. And it's usually brought home by some little 6 or 7-year-old kid. I mean, I can't stand those kids, if you want to know the truth. I mean, what a pain. I'm just kidding. I love them all. But, you know, sometimes I can sit around and I start thinking of all the wonderful things that happened to me in my career, you know, and my ego gets up in the air, and leave it to one of these little 6 or 7-year-old kids who come by and puncture that ego and bring you right back down to earth. And I was invited to a grammar school here not too long ago. It was career day, and they wanted me to come by and talk about being a professional baseball player. I said, great, I'd be more than happy to. So I got out of my car and I started walking into the school. It was a grammar school, kids 6 to 12. And I began to think, look, I've been out of the game 25 years. These kids have no idea who Brooks Robinson is. And sure enough, when I got into school, my fears were well-founded, believe me. And I had this one little kid come running up to me, you know, said, oh, Mr. Robinson, I'm glad to see you. And he was waving this book in front of my face, and it was called The Brooks Robinson Story. He said, Mr. Robinson, man, he said, this book was great. He said, but I thought you were dead. You know, and then one of them wanted to know, did you play with Babe Ruth? And I said, no, son, I didn't play with him. You know, and I know all you mothers and fathers know about the baseball cards. I mean, every year you're in the big leagues, they put out a baseball card with your picture on the front, your bio on the back. And my rookie year was 1957, and my last year to play was 1977, and Topps put out 21 Brooks Robinson baseball cards. Well, lo and behold, this one little kid comes up, and he's got all 21 Brooks Robinson cards. I mean, they know how to hurt you. Now, just listen to this, you know. And he said, Brooks, he said, Mr. Robinson, I got to have your autograph. So he gives me a card, and I sign the card and give it back to him. And he said, but I got to have all 21 of these signed. And I said, wait, what do you need 21 Brooks Robinson autographs for? He said, well, since you've been out of the game so long, you know, here in Baltimore, it takes 21 of your autographs now just to get one of Cal Ripken. No. I'm telling you. I was walking through the airport the other day, and I saw this father and son over on the right-hand side, and I could tell the father recognized me just like that. And the little boy had no idea who I was, but kept walking to my gate. You know, all of a sudden, I got a little tug on the coat, and I turn around, and the little kid's there, you know, and he's got a piece of paper and a pen. He said, Mr. Robinson, he said, can I have your autograph? And I said, sure. So I gave him an autograph and gave it back to him. And I said, now, you don't know who Brooks Robinson is, do you? He said, no, I don't. I said, well, what'd you want that autograph for? He said, my dad said that you used to play baseball, you're getting old, you're in the Hall of Fame, and you might die soon, and this might be worth something. So, anyway, it never stopped. So honest, but you know, someone asked me the other day, the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me, and I can only tell you that being part of a World Series is the ultimate. You know, as a youngster growing up, I dreamed about, you know, signing a professional contract, playing in the minor leagues, getting to the big leagues, winning the pennant, getting in a World Series. And the Orioles got close in 1960 and 1964, and finally in 66, we get to the World Series and we win. And it's just one of those things that when you talk to fellas like, I think you had Fergie Jenkins here last year, great pitcher. But the one thing he misses was a part of not being in a World Series. And it's so unlike every day. I mean, you play 162 games a day, and you're not going to get all excited every time you run out on the field 162 times. I mean, you have to find some way to motivate yourself, but you don't get all pumped up. But when you get to a World Series, believe me, you feel it inside. I mean, I guess the old cliche is the adrenaline starts to flow, and it does. Doesn't mean you're going to play well, because I felt like that and played lousy, and I felt like that and played pretty good, but it's a great feeling to have, knowing that you're playing in a World Series, and it's a time that even non-baseball fans might tune in and see what's going on. And I know that there's a lot of pressure in a World Series. I don't think anyone likes to embarrass himself, and growing up in Arkansas, I remember reading a book one time about Mickey Owens. Mickey Owens, that's a name that'll live in infamy. And what happened was in 1947 or 48, he was playing for the Dodgers. They were playing the Yankees in the World Series. Strike three to Mickey Vernon. He misses it. It goes to the backstop. Not Mickey Vernon, Tommy Hendricks gets to first base. The Yankees end up winning that game and winning the World Series, and Mickey Owens goes down as the GOAT of the World Series and never lives it down. And I guess your latest player you could talk about was Bill Buckner, and great guy. Bill missed a little 24 hopper to him when they were playing the Mets in the sixth game, and anyway, you know, the Mets went on the World Series, and poor Bill, he moved to Boise, Idaho just to get away from everything, you know. But anyway, that's another story. But anyway, there's a lot of pressure playing in a World Series, and no one likes to embarrass themselves. And I remember our first World Series, played the Dodgers. We went out to California. We beat Drysdale the first game. We beat Sandy Koufax the next game. We came back to Baltimore. Paul Blair hit a home run off of Claude Osteen, and we won that game 1-0. Well, the next day I go to get in my car, and as soon as I get in my car, but this is game 4, my heart starts pounding, and all I'm thinking, hey, if you win today, a dream come true. You are the world's champions. And the closer I got to the ballpark, the faster my heart beat. My mouth got a little dry, and all I could think about was winning today and being the world's champions. Never happened in the Baltimore history. Finally, when the game started, it was Don Drysdale pitching against Dave McNally. We go to the 5th inning, 0-0. Frank Robinson hits a home run, and we're ahead 1-0. Now, I take the field in the bottom of the 5th inning, and I'm thinking, get them out 4 more times, and you're the world's champions. My heart beat even faster. Finally, we get to the 9th inning. We need 3 outs now. And McNally goes bang, bang, retires the first 2 Dodgers. Now we're 1 out away from being the world's champions. And Maury Wills comes up. He walks Maury Wills, and that's like throwing a double. You know, Maury Wills steals second base. Now you got the tying run. on second base, and the Dodgers have a guy by the name of Lou Johnson up, and he'd been the Dodgers' best clutch hitter all year, knocking in big run after big run. So I go running over to Dave McNally with my heart pounding, and I got there, and I guess he thought I'm coming to offer him some words of advice or encouragement on how to pitch to Lou Johnson. But when I got over there, I looked him right in the eye, and I said, listen, Dave, whatever you do, don't let Lou Johnson hit that ball at me. I'm telling you. I said, I don't want any part of that baseball. Anyway, he hit a ball to center field to Paul Blair, and we're the world's champions. But all I could think about was hitting to me. I lose, I miss it, we lose, have to face Koufax the next day. So I guarantee you, when you're watching a World Series or maybe even a Super Bowl, there's a couple of guys that don't want to touch that ball, believe me. But, you know, most of the funny things in baseball that happen are just spontaneous. They're never planned. And I was watching some clips of the 1970 World Series, which Dennis talked about a few minutes ago. And in that series, there was an umpire by the name of Emmett Ashford. And I don't know if you remember Emmett Ashford, but he was the first black umpire to ever make it to the major leagues. And Emmett and I were friends in the minor leagues. I met him in the Pacific Coast League. Well, anyway, the toughest call for an umpire is a check swing. I mean, how many times do you watch a game and the hitter goes like this and pull his bat back, and catcher asks for some help, you know, did he swing or didn't he swing? Well, anyway, it's a tough call for the umpire because he's watching to see where the location of the pitch is. He's not watching to see if the hitter swings the bat or not. Well, we're playing the Red Sox. Emmett's behind the plate. I come up to bat for the first time, and Jim Lonberg's on the mound for the Red Sox. And the first pitch that Lonberg throws me, I go like this, and I bring my bat back, and Emmett says, strike one. I said, Emmett, for crying out loud. I said, I didn't break my wrist. He said, Brooks, you went far enough for me, strike one. I said, Emmett, I didn't go across the plate. He said, Brooks, you went far enough for me, strike one. So I just said, well, ask Bill Howler, your friend down there at first base, the umpire, and he'll tell you whether if I swung or not. So, you know, Emmett took his mask off and looked down to Bill and said, Bill, did he swing? And, of course, the umpires all agree with one another, you know. And sorry there, Jerry. Anyway. But anyway, I know Bill Howler said, yes, he swung. So Emmett turned around to me, you know, with his mask off. He says, okay, Brooks. He said, now you got it in black and white. He said, get in there and hit. So, I didn't ask. I didn't ask many questions, believe me. I started swinging. But it was nice to see all the writers and reporters here tonight, and I guess I did about 7 or 8 interviews, but you know, they all wanted to know the 2 things they wanted to know, and I'll tell you one of them. Well, one of them was about salaries, you know, and the other thing was about Pete Rose. But anyway, about salaries, I said, you know, I said, look, you know, the way it's crazy, the salaries out there. I mean, Eric and I talked about it, but you know, the way the players feel about it, they say, look, all I'm doing is asking for it. Doesn't hurt anyone to ask for $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. I mean, anyone can do that. And the other way they look at it, they say, look, it's this crazy society we live in. We live in a fun-loving, sports-oriented, hodgepodge society. If we lived in a society where the importance of your job dictated how much you're going to make, then a baseball player would be at the bottom of the heap. And people who are teachers or firemen or policemen should make the most money as far as I'm concerned. But that's not reality. We live in a society where entertainers and athletes are going to make more than anyone else. It's just a fact of life. And that's really what these guys are. They're entertainers. And so I thought I'd brief you on that. But anyway, I don't have a whole lot else to say except it's really been fun being here, and I know that when I was first starting with the Orioles, Appleton was an Oriole farm system with guys like Boog Powell, Earl Weaver. I mean, well, what a guy he is, and he's mellowed out a little. I do have one little story. We got time for a little story? One little story about Earl. Earl Weaver was. The reason I appreciate Earl because here was a guy who never wanted to do anything in his life except be a big league baseball player and was not good enough. Went back to the minors, Class D, C, B, A, AA, AAA, the major leagues, and now he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But anyway, we had this fellow on our team by the name of Pat Kelly. And Pat Kelly, a very religious guy. In fact, he's a minister now, wonderful guy. And we're playing the Minnesota Twins one night. It's the bottom of the 9th. We're home. We got the bases loaded, and we got 1 out. and Pat Kelly's up at the plate. And the one thing that drove Earl Weaver crazy was the fact swinging at balls out of the strike zone. Anyway, Pat Kelly gets to 3-2. And all he has to do is he gets a base hit, he hits a fly ball, we win the game. Anyway, 3-2, and he swings at a ball over his head like this and strikes out. Anyway, now we're in the 13th inning, and Earl's sitting down there just saying, Pat, you know, how could you do that? You know, swinging a ball over your head would be home having a cocktail now. I don't understand it, you know. And finally, Pat he had enough, you know, and he came down and he put his hand on Earl Weaver's shoulder and he said, Earl, have you ever thought about walking with the Lord? You know, and Earl, I mean, he looked up, you know, kind of shocked him, but he was one of those guys, he was quick with the wit. He looked up and he said, Pat, have you ever tried walking with the bases loaded? Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Anyway, it's been great being with all of you. What a wonderful turnout. I can't tell you, it's the last time I've been to a banquet where there's 1,800 people here. This is just unbelievable. So thanks very much for inviting me, and I do appreciate this Nice Guy Award. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We hope you had a great time. Thanks for supporting U Sports. Next January 20th, come on back.